It might be on.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jocks of all Trades podcast. It is Monday, which means it is time for Jock Talk. I am Brad, and I'm joined by Aubin. We're a little short tonight. But we're gonna roll with it. Aubin, thanks for being a part.
No problem. Anytime.
So let's go right into the buzz. We were just talking about this. The USFL. Is it worth it? Do we care?
Is it
Have we
worth
gotten
it?
burned by some other leagues that last very long?
I don't. It's hard to say because I haven't followed any of it, but I'm just looking. Oh, Paxton Lynch is there. Good to see he made it somewhere after his epically failed stint in the NFL. But anyway, I'm just thinking. I think it's. So I put it like this, right? So I'm a big wrestling fan, big pro wrestling fan. I have been for a very long time. And right now, there's two big. For a long time, you had the WWE, and then you had other promotions, and there were other promotions that were good, but they weren't necessarily on the quality of the WWE. And now you've got AEW, which has come up and is right there in terms of promotion. A lot of ex WWE's guys. Oh, thank you. A bunch of ex WWE guys end up going to WWE or going to AEW and vice versa, and it's very exciting. And what it creates is options in WWE and professional wrestling in that world. You've got all these guys going to different promotions: WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, all these different promotions. And for a long time, you had one group that was like, this is where you want to be. And now there's so many different options. And so what I think the USFL gives you is options. And it gives a lot of people who are better than average players the opportunity to use the gifts that they have. If they didn't make it in the NFL, obviously for a lot of these guys that was probably their ultimate goal, but for whatever reason, whether it's injury concerns, whether it was just they just couldn't make it on the team for whatever reason, they miss out on the ability to play at that level. But there are still other avenues for them, because a lot of pro athletes, once their career is done, for example, like a lot of people who go to the NFL, like once your career is done in the NFL, like what do you have left? Or what's next? A lot of people don't know what to do next. And so for a lot of these guys, I don't know how many of them are, post collegiate athletes who didn't make it, who went undrafted or whatever reason. I don't know the history behind the USFL and how their players and teams came to be. But I think it gives people options. It allows people to watch professional level football without just going to a high school or a college game. It gives them something else. So I don't see a problem with it. If it sticks around, that's great. Give some of these guys a chance. I don't see any problem with that.
I agree. I think they really gave a lot of guys that washed out a second chance. Okay, I wanted to see where you could even watch it. You can watch it on Peacock and NBC. That's really your only way to watch the USFL. I don't know. I was really intrigued to see a lot of the players that made it. Jordan Ta'amu was one that was really interesting. He was a dark horse for the Heisman forever ago through Ole Miss. Shea Patterson, another Ole Miss guy that went to Michigan, found better success, is now playing again in Michigan. So it's kind of like a hometown reception for him. I think it's good, especially the last time that we saw a brief league. A lot of those guys got signed. A lot of those guys got a second chance.
Exactly.
A lot of those guys ended up contributing at a high level. So maybe at the very least, if it doesn't bring about the hotness that we're looking for in a secondary football league, then it at least will give some of these guys another chance in the NFL, and maybe we see the next big story.
And I don't even think that they have to be successful enough to make it to the NFL. I think they could just be successful. I don't think that the USFL should compare itself to the NFL, because they're never going to reach. Likelihood is they're never going to reach the level that the NFL is. It's been around for too long and has too much standing in the community in the United States and branding and all. So you're more than likely never going to reach that level, but you should just want to put on the best promotion for yourself. And like we said, it's giving a lot of guys chances. I'm looking right now on their website and looking at all the teams and their rosters. Are there names that I recognize? No. For the most part, there really aren't. But then again, I'm not a really big college football watcher. Especially, I've got guys from Towson and Minnesota State, Mankato, Missouri, Augustana, South Dakota, like all these guys that I've never heard of, all these colleges I've never heard of. But these are players who are getting chances. And as I look at the average age of these rosters, the averages for the last 4 teams that I've looked at, the average age is somewhere between 25 and 27 years old. Is the average age of these players. So these guys were guys that probably played at a very high level in college, who a lot of them probably went undrafted and didn't have any backup plans. They thought they were going to the NFL, or they thought they were going to reach that high level. And so this just gives them the opportunity. These guys are young. I haven't even seen a player older than 30 on any of these rosters yet. And there's only 6 teams, 6, 7 teams, 8 teams. So none of these guys are out of their prime, And so if this is a stepping stone to get to the NFL, more power to them. If it's not, then you just get to see high-level football better than college professional level football. And I think that's a great thing.
I think so too. I was remiss to talk about some of our sponsors and friends. Speaking of Afro-Latinos, we have the co-founder and a co-host of Afro-Latinos with us. We thank them for their constant support and technological fixes and design fixes. It's been many over the short period of time that we have been together for a podcast.
That's okay. That's why we're friends, Brad. We're friends outside of the podcast. It's not just
that's true. Yeah. Also want to thank Caleb Kemper over at Fresh Cuts, our one and only and best sponsor that we have. Thank him for his work and his constant support for us. Also, Fresh Cuts, it's not just a haircut, it is an experience. I know this is lovely pictures of my awful hair before and after, but I use his products. He sells them in store. They're all natural and really great for your hair. Book with Caleb now at www.freshcutsbarbershop.com. Mondays and Tuesdays are his open day. If you are local to Marion, Indiana, that is the best way to get a hold of him. Thanks for sticking around for our brief word from our sponsors, or word to our sponsors. I don't know. I'll figure that out.
I say from
works. So you may not care as much as some of the people that I wrote thinking they would be here. So the college football playoff is not expanding until 2026. We're going to go ahead and say it. This is bad for the sport. What happened to the alliance of teams that said we don't want to be left on the outside anymore? It's not cool that 2 SEC teams are getting in pretty often. What happened, guys? Like, you were too worried about, well, we want to keep the Rose Bowl. Well, we want to make sure that we play people that are cool enough outside of our conference. Who cares? If you're not going to get into the playoffs, that's not going to matter. So you missed your whole window, and now you got to wait 4 years. That is potentially, I'm going to sound biased, potentially 4 more years for Georgia or Alabama to dominate. Or A&M. A&M looks good. LSU. If you get another Joe Burrow, and we'll chat. Well, but it's possible. Brian Kelly will turn that franchise, well, not franchise, college around. I had no problem with Orgeron. I can't pronounce his last name correctly.
Well, ask me to say it. I don't know what it is.
I mean, Go Tigers was great, but it brought you one championship, and I understand why they wanted to move on from him after having some meh play after that. But honestly, you can't replicate Joe Burrow. That's not really his fault. That's more of a fault of what do you do once that guy leaves. But yeah, seriously, the SEC could dominate for the next 4 years, and people are going to complain about the sport. But truthfully, if it was that much of a problem, where are you at to stop it? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, you had all the opportunities to sit down and push that extension to happen maybe next year, maybe 2024, and now you got to wait till 2026. That's not. Do you see any positives to them waiting?
Well, here's the thing: waiting or not waiting, I don't really think it cares because I don't think it really matters because at the end of the day, the powerhouses, the top four, are there for a reason. I mean, yeah, sometimes between 5 and 8. How many are they talking about? Do they want to expand it to 10? 8 to
8
10.
or
So let's
8 or
let's
something,
look. So
12.
so Georgia beats Alabama in the college football playoffs in the championship game this year, right?
Right.
So let's put who was 5 through 8. Michigan, Michigan State. Who was up there this year, Brad?
Let me look at the final
Let me see if I
rankings.
can look it up real quick.
Yeah, I've got it.
Um,
It'll take me a sec.
I got
Rankings.
it. I'm there.
Go
So
ahead.
we had Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Cincinnati in the top four, right? So if I look at 5 through 8, and we're looking at 5 through 8 going into the college football playoffs, we have Baylor, we have Ohio State, we have Oklahoma State, North Dakota. I'm sorry, Notre Dame, Michigan State. I'm sorry, that was 9. Michigan State was 9. So 5 through 8, Baylor, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, and Notre Dame. Which one of those 4 teams is beating Georgia?
The only one that I'll give him credit for, and he's not here, Ohio State was the only one with a good offense that could have given them some trouble. But they shut us
But who
down.
would have
What
beat
was
Georgia?
Ohio State going to do?
And Cincinnati and Georgia, the only two one loss teams there. Yeah, I just don't think that expanding it. I get that you want to expand it, and I understand why because you have more chances, more games equals more money, more opportunities for the school or for the NCAA. But it's not going to matter. Like no matter how many teams you add, it's not going to like did any of the wild since the NFL has expanded the wild card, how many wild card teams that have made it in that second wild card spot have won the championship? None to my knowledge, I don't believe because it's been what 2 years and the Rams were number 1 2 seed in the NFC this year. Last year who won? I'm forgetting
The
everything. Buccaneers?
Chiefs. Oh,
Chiefs?
the Buccaneers. No, it was the Buccaneers. Thank you.
Tom Brady.
It was the
Tom Brady
Buccaneers and Chiefs.
won the Buccaneers, and so none of the teams that were in the wild card spots are making those extra wild card spots are just there to make more money for the league. It doesn't matter. So it's not going to matter if you let 4 more teams into the playoffs. You're just going to the NCAA is going to get more money. These kids aren't going to get. I mean, now they're getting chances to be paid, but the kids are just going to have to work harder and play more games. And do we really need to see that? What's it going to
No,
help?
and it
Who's it helping
also
outside of the NCAA? It's not these kids. They're just going to get upset on a grander stage. It's the only thing it
the
is.
university.
Exactly. The university gets more money. NCAA makes more money. And prior to this year, the kids would still be stuck with nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, shame on you for not trying to do anything at least because I don't want to hear complaints. I really don't want to hear complaints at this point. Like
Right.
they had an opportunity to do something, they chose not to. If that's the future, so be it. You just know that you're going to get smoked on a big stage, so
Right.
that's fine. Debo, Metcalf, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, all
OBJ.
these guys are either on the move or going to be on the move. The receivers are getting paid like crazy. Is this just a sign of things to come where the NFL is heading?
I mean, it's a pass first league, and it has been for a long time.
Yeah.
So your 2 positions that are going to make the most money and that are going to get the deals are wide receiver and quarterback. People throwing the ball and people catching the ball. I mean, I think that what I'm surprised by is that so many pieces have moved this particular offseason. I'm not sure if there's something in the CBA. I'm not sure what it is about this year and why this year seems to be that year. But everyone is either on the move or talking about on the move, and Lord only knows. I mean, Calvin Ridley should have been somewhere if he didn't gamble on his own games, and so he would have been talked about. He was probably coming to Philly. Now there's talks about Debo getting traded and Debo coming to Philly. DK Metcalf has been talked about everywhere. Kyler Murray's being talked about being on the move. It's the 2 big positions that anyone cares about going anywhere, or quarterback or wide receiver. And I think they're just getting the focus because so many of them have changed this year. So many of them have moved. There's just so many changes taking place that it's hard to imagine. what's going to happen there.
I agree. And it's just funny that like it is a pass heavy league. We've talked about this before, and yet we're okay with Devontae Adams getting traded. We're okay with Tyreek Hill. Like, oh no, I don't want to pay you that much.
The crazy thing is, both of those teams the Raiders got Devontae Adams for a bag of chips and a Capri Sun, and the Dolphins got Tyreek Hill for a cold can of soda. It's just they're going for nothing. Those are generational talents. Not Devontae Smith. I'm sorry. Devontae Adams has been top 10, top 5, top 3 receiver for the last like 6, 7 years. You're more than likely not getting that in every draft, and it's not like first of all, Tyreek Hill. Here's the thing that drives me nuts, right? So I'm a big video game guy, and I play a lot of Madden, right? Every year Madden comes out, every year I buy the new one. This is what drives me nuts. In real life, Tyreek Hill got traded for a couple second, third, fourth rounders. If I went on to Madden 22 right now and tried to trade Tyreek Hill for a first round pick, the number 1 overall first round pick, there's no way the game's engine would let that happen. And these GMs are like, oh yeah, Tyreek Hill, he's one of the fastest guys in the NFL. Oh yeah, he's a 1,000-yard receiver almost every year if you got someone chucking the ball downfield to him because nobody can catch him. He's one of the most explosive people on the field at any given time. I'll take him for a second and a third and a fourth rounder. And, matter of fact, one of those third rounders and one of those fourth rounders, those could be 2 years from now. It's not anything that's going to help your team now. Like, it's not no first round draft picks for any of these big free names. I think Russell Wilson might have been the only person that got traded for a first round pick.
Yeah.
But all these big names, MVP caliber players, top A-rated level players are getting traded for less than they're worth. And it goes to show you how little these owners really care about their players and their fan bases, because you're not going to make that up. The Packers traded Devontae Adams away, and their biggest free agent signing was a wide receiver that's a number 3 wide receiver on any other team. You know what I mean? Like, he's not. What's his name? I'm trying to think of it. Pardon. Sorry, Green Bay fans, for forgetting his name. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'm sorry. I hate bringing stuff up and not. They signed a wide receiver.
Oh, Sammy Watkins?
Yeah. Sammy Watkins, who hasn't had a really great season as a receiver in 4 years. He had 27 receptions last year for less than 400 yards and only 1 touchdown. And that's what you're replacing Devontae Adams with, and you're not getting a first round pick for him to make up for the fact that you just lost Devontae freaking Adams. Are you crazy? So the
biggest thing is, how is Rodgers okay with that?
I don't think there's any way that Rodgers was in on that conversation. Because Devontae Adams was his boy. And here's the thing. Here's what is the most surprising. Aaron Rodgers resigns to a ginormous contract. And maybe they did it because they signed Aaron Rodgers to a ginormous contract and they don't have any more money to sign Devontae Adams. Find the freaking money. Because I can't imagine a world where Aaron Rodgers would decide to go back to Green Bay, of all places. It's freaking Wisconsin. Sorry, Wisconsin, but it's freaking Wisconsin. And turn down Las Vegas. He's a SoCal boy. He's from Southern California, isn't he, Rodgers?
Yeah, he is.
He's from Southern California. The sun, the glitz, the glamour, that's all him. The Raiders probably would have signed him. They probably would have traded Derek Carr and got Aaron Rodgers there. And then you still could have gotten Devontae Adams there. And the Raiders could have been that much. And Aaron Rodgers would have been a happy guy chucking it up to his boy right next to his home. And he's big chilling. Now he's stuck in Green Bay with me as a wide receiver. It's not helping him.
No. And I find it so interesting that he was quiet through the whole thing. We didn't hear anything.
I haven't heard him say anything at all. No. Anything.
It's probably part of his new contract. You must shut up publicly at all times.
You don't want him talking about his immunizations again, so that might have something to do with it.
Let's talk Draft just a little bit. We're not going to do a mock draft. Kyle's going to do that for Wednesday.
Thank God. I don't know anything.
But I have to ask you, the same franchises are always on top in the draft. So is tanking overrated?
I think that in the NFL it is too difficult to make it work. You've got 64 men on the roster. You can only start, 24, 12 on each side of the ball. How many people are on the football field? 11. See, 12 men on the field. I have no idea what I'm talking. I know it. I know the actual game. I don't, something. So you get 11 men on the field at a time. I mean, tanking's going to get you a couple great draft picks, but it's not basketball. You're not drafting LeBron James where there's only 5 men on the court and one of them could be the most dominant player and change everything on both sides of the ball. It's not. Oh, baseball, forget about it. You get drafted forever, and you'll stay in the minors forever. But like, if this was basketball, like we see Philadelphia, clearly tanking works kind of in Philadelphia because they got Embiid, they got Simmons, they got all these people and now they're where they are. They are where they are now.
Yeah.
Thanks to tanking, right? So it works when you have a small number of people on a court where one person absolutely makes the difference for your entire team. But football, there's too much happening. There's too many people on the field. There's too much bad coaching. That it's just too much to deal with for one person to be the only thing that makes the difference for a franchise. Even a franchise quarterback, you're not getting one of those every year, and so tanking is only successful if you were able to tank and end up with 4 first-round draft picks, where you can basically, dramatically change the whole side of your team. I don't know. I don't think in the NFL it makes sense to do it. I don't think it works. Look at the Dolphins; it hasn't really worked for them. The Browns. I don't think the Browns are tanking. I just think they're bad. But losing doesn't equate to winning. Like the Lions are terrible and have been for a long time, but losing does not equate to winning in the draft. It doesn't equal success because other teams need to change 1 or 2 pieces to make themselves better, and you've got to change 16, and you can only draft one player with the number 1 overall pick. It's not helping anything.
Right. I don't think it's worth it, especially if we see the same. Well, here's the other side of that. We see the same teams up top. I don't think they can develop talent really well either, and I think that's part of the problem. Is like the coaching staff, no matter who you put in there, sucks because it's the Lions, it's the Browns, it's the Jags,
Right.
it's the Jets, it's the Giants. Like it's always going to be the same guys up top. Like
Right.
There's no change to that because they don't know how to develop what they have. Like the Giants, for God's sake, had Saquon Barkley. What have they accomplished with Saquon Barkley? Nothing.
The Giants are looking to trade their first round from the pick from last year, the wide receiver they drafted after the
Kadarius
Cowboys.
Toney, the guy out of Florida. Yep.
Mm-hmm. They're looking to trade him right now. So
they have zero idea of what they're doing.
That's because their former GM David Gettleman is about as dumb as a box of rocks.
Correct.
The only person dumber than him might be Howie Roseman, but we're giving Howie Roseman a chance to prove himself differently with these 2 picks. Although a lot of the rumors that I've heard says that at least one of those 2 picks are gone, that they're trading them for a player. So I guess we'll find out next week. But listen, if we're gonna get Debo,
but if
you're gonna get Debo, one of those
like a second and third, I would not give up a first for Debo.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to, right? At this point, they're gonna have to. If anybody wants Debo right now, they're gonna have to give up that capital. Otherwise, San Fran wouldn't trade him.
No, if I'm giving up that first, you better be giving me Patrick Mahomes.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying that the way that it looks right now, that's about as much as they're gonna get. I mean, if it's a draft day trade, somebody's gonna have to give up that number 1 pick, that first round pick, because if they feel like he's gonna make a difference. Listen. The Eagles are a wide receiver. They're a wide receiver away, but they also need a linebacker and they also need a cornerback. So I would have appreciated not trading with the Saints and keeping those 2 picks and drafting 3 in the first round. But I'm okay with it. My uncle talked some sense into me. He explained the situation from his perspective. I trust his football opinion a lot. But unless we're getting somebody who's super dynamic on offense, I keep them. I don't know.
I'm glad we have your support. I I definitely also think so too.
Pro. She's actually who tells me all this stuff. I just repeat
Oh,
everything.
you just repeat. Yeah, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
checks out.
Yeah.
The other thing with that now I'm thinking about it is who would you take for a linebacker if you had Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean on the board and the Eagles pick?
You asked me too many questions.
Okay.
Yes is the answer.
Okay.
Are both of them great? I'll take one of them. I don't care.
Okay.
Anything is an upgrade from Alex Singleton being our number one tackler
So
and leading
yeah,
tackler on the team. He played great last year. I mean, he set like a franchise record for tackles, but it's Alex Singleton. He's not going to blow anyone away. He's not scaring a defense. He's just going to be really good at his position on the field at that time. So if he's an
that's
upgrade
like
from
being
that, I'm cool.
that's like being the defensive player of the year in the Big 12. Like, okay,
Oh,
great. No one there plays defense. So
yeah,
fantastic. Good
you
for you.
know, great. Your number one wide receiver is Nelson Aguilar, and we get the upgrade from Nelson Aguilar. Well, it's not really much of an upgrade. Also, JJ Arcega-Whiteside is changing positions. They're moving him to tight end.
Yeah, I saw that. That's interesting.
Well, he sucks as a wide receiver. He only has like one career touchdown. In let me just remind you of something, because this is how much I hate Howie Roseman. JJ Arcega-Whiteside was taken the same year as DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf was on the board. So in 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, he's got one touchdown, and I think I've said it before. I'm gonna look it up and just make sure I'm fact checking myself correctly, but I know I'm right because I hate him just as much as I hate Howie Roseman. He has he was drafted in 2019, so
Yep.
3 years, 2 years. He's only played 2 seasons. He has 16 catches for 290 yards and 1 touchdown. And just as a reminder, everyone, his 1 touchdown is not a receiving touchdown. His 1 touchdown is Miles Sanders ran a ginormous run and got the ball knocked out of his hands right before the end zone. And so he fumbled into the end zone, and Arcega-Whiteside fell on the ball. And that's his touchdown.
That's really bad.
So he's 6'2", 290. He's 6'2". I don't know how much he weighs, but he's kind of small for a tight end, but he's not doing anything at the wide receiver spot, so might as well move him to tight end and see if he has any more success. I mean, he's quick, you know what I mean? He's got a little speed to him, so why not? Whatever.
Yep.
Sorry to distract from your I just really hate.
You're good. No, he's some garbage. I don't blame you for that.
Second freaking round pick, bro. Same year as freaking DK Metcalf. I'll never forgive him. I'll never forgive him for that.
As you shouldn't. I wouldn't. You're gonna like this. We're up to our spicy meatball. We have not done our hot take for a while. You're gonna love this. I kept it quiet for a reason. If the narrative with LeBron, with a bunch of washed out old players, is that, well, LeBron just can't get it done. LeBron shouldn't be the focal point of a team anymore. As we go 4-0 over over Brooklyn tonight, I'd like to also put out that KD ain't it. If you had to go join a super team to get a ring, if you had to leave Westbrook and that good like Thunder team to go get a ring, and then you built your own super team and you can't get it done, then you need to just admit that 73-9 team carried you to a ring and you weren't really all that it. So when they get washed out tonight, which I believe they will, that needs to be the narrative coming forward, is that KD is not the best player in the NBA right now. Sorry.
Do I get a chance to retort?
You sure do. Go for it.
Okay, because I don't disagree with you at all. I will disagree in your verbiage because he is all that in a bag of chips. He's one of the greatest skill players to ever touch the court. He is a phenomenal ball player. He went to a 73-win team and made them unstoppable But as I explained today, you can't give him the credit for making a fantastic team, a record-setting team, unstoppable. He's the second best player in the world who just joined a team that won 73 games in a year. Yeah, you should not lose ever to anyone in that case. But you've got Clay, one of the best shooters to ever touch the court. You've got Steph, the best shooter to ever touch the court. You've got Draymond, a fantastic defender. You've got Andre Iguodala, a fantastic defender and a good mid-range shooter. You've got all these role players who are great and just won 73 games, and you add the second best player in the world to that team, they should be unstoppable. But you cannot. I don't care if they don't get swept. If they do get swept tonight, great. If they don't get swept tonight, great. They're not coming back from 3-0. They're going to lose in the first round. They were a 7 seed in this year's playoffs, which is a subpar for them, right? They should not have been a 7 seed. His super teams that he has constructed has failed. He is not as good as LeBron James. LeBron James, for all intents and purposes, you say whatever you want about him creating super teams and going to this place and going to that place and selling this player and getting rid of that player. I don't care, because, and only because, he wins championships no matter where he goes. He didn't win his first couple years in Cleveland. He also joined the league at 17, and he took his team single-handedly to the finals in 2007.
Yes,
with
and
the
that team was garbage.
with the custodial staff of Shikellamy High School. He dragged them kicking and screaming to the finals.
Yeah.
At 22 years old, 23 years old, he dragged that team to the finals, who ended up playing against Hall of Fame Manu Ginobili, Hall of Fame Tony Parker, Hall of Fame
Tim
Duncan, Hall of Fame Greg Popovich. You're not beating those guys at 23. You should never have been there at 23. He had to go through the Pistons, who were on the tail end of their heyday, the bad boy Pistons. Ben Wallace, that team in 2003 that won that championship, or 2005, whatever that was.
Was that with Waste Mindu?
Yeah, him too.
Okay, I guess.
You've got LeBron playing these guys, and I granted, the NBA is full of great players, but you have Kyrie, one of the other best skill players in the NBA, and you can't beat the Celtics. Now, you're a Celtics fan, Brad, so I don't want to offend you, but it's Jason Tatum, it's Jaylen Brown, it's Marcus Smart. These aren't the best guys in the league. They're not top 5 at their position. None of the 3 of them are top 5 players at your position. You are the best player in the world, and you have Kyrie Irving. You had James Harden, and you can't win. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear him talked about in the. He will not go down in history as a top 5 player in the NBA,
and he should,
because of this. He probably should have been, but you go to Brooklyn and you get James Harden there. You get Blake Griffin there. You get DeAndre Jordan back there. You get all these players back there. You've got this cast of characters, and then you lose in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They didn't make it, so they didn't win, so it didn't matter. James Harden wants out. James Harden goes. You bring in freaking Kyrie. Well, last year they had Kyrie, too. He just didn't play. So you got those 3 players, 3 top guys at their position, against the freaking Celtics, and you can't beat the Celtics? I don't want to hear it. He won't go down in history as a top 5 player in the NBA. He should have. He has all the abilities to do so, but he won't. Not anymore.
The thing that's shocking a lot of people is the Celtics are really good as a team.
Sure.
Like a great team.
Sure.
Individually, you're right.
Sure.
Tatum could be top 20, Top 15,
Sure.
maybe.
Sure.
But you're right. You're talking about 3 of the guys that are in the top 10 in the league. 3 of the
In the
top
league,
guys
not just
at
their
any
position, in the league.
Yeah.
Period.
And they can't beat the Celtics. Yeah, and you know who that's going to fall on? It's not going to fall on Kyrie. Kyrie hasn't even been there half season. I ain't going to blame Kyrie.
Poor Steve Nash is going to get the blame for it all.
Of course he is.
Now, granted, Steve Nash shouldn't have been the coach anyway, but Steve Nash is probably getting fired after this year. He might have one more year left, but
if he can convince upper management that he's got it, he can get one more push out of it, then yes. But
Kyrie hasn't played.
That was weird.
Anyway.
Yeah, you go ahead. Kyrie hasn't played.
Kyrie hasn't played. James Harden was hurt. KD was hurt. Everyone's freaking hurt. I don't care. You make it work. You win those games.
Right. And everyone's going to say they have such a weak bench. They really don't.
I don't care how much how weak your bench is. You've got the freaking top three of the best players in the freaking league. I don't care what your bench looks like. You should be winning games.
Yep.
You should be making a run.
Agreed.
LeBron won it everywhere he went. He left Cleveland. He won a championship in Miami. He goes back to Cleveland. He wins one there. He goes to LA. He wins one there. He's a winner. KD only won with a 73-win team who added the best player in the world, second best player in the world. So I don't hear it.
I hear you.
LeBron's legacy is still intact, in my opinion. KD's is tarnished, even more than it already was, because I think he took the cheap way out. But
agreed. Let's take out the trash. I've got 2 for you. Both of them are going to seem very biased, but I'm trying to not be biased. Ben Simmons, dude, you wanted out. You claimed you could play. You claimed it wasn't on mental illness. You claimed all this crap. You got to Brooklyn. You had a chance to give it to the Celtics. You had a chance to get out there. You had a chance to play with these guys that wanted you so bad, and you chickened out. I don't think that man deserves to play another game of basketball. I'm sorry.
I mean, I can't blame you there. I don't know what it is. You know, it could be a lot of things. He could just really have the jitters. I don't know. He's got a. I don't know.
What I don't understand is you're down 3-0. There's no love lost between the Nets and the Celtics. That's for sure. I know that. You have a chance to get on the court and help your team, and you didn't. What makes me think that you're any different than Philly Ben Simmons at this point?
Well, I mean, we got to go. All we can do is look at what they've said, and the team said they thought he would be ready, and then it turned out when he was taking shots, he wasn't ready. Ready or not, well, I mean, honestly, if he hasn't played all season, what is one more game going to do? Sure, you put him out there for one game. They're still going to lose. It's not going to matter. Just sit down and just wait till next season and come back and show us that you can play next season. I get it. I get you want him on the floor, but it doesn't matter.
Would you have made that trade, though, knowing that Ben Simmons was never going to show up for you this season when you're struggling just to stay in the playoffs as a 7th seed?
Here's why I'll say yes, and it's simply because James Harden is a cancerous player in the locker room when he doesn't want to be there. Look at the way he got out of Houston.
Yeah.
Look at the way he wanted out. I mean, he was saying publicly he didn't want to be there anymore. He wanted out. You can't have that in your locker room when you're struggling to win games. So
no, but you traded cancer for cancer.
Well, but at least you know that one of them. I mean, James Harden is going to be on the court, and he's going to be a distraction on the court because he doesn't want to be whatever. At least Ben Simmons is distracting off the court, and you can't really blame him for doing anything if he's not playing.
That's true. I don't understand that. I want to get out and I want to play for this team the whole time, and then never does.
Yeah.
So I'm sick of him. I don't want to hear his name for a while. This one you may not agree with. Speaking of taking out the trash, how about Kyrie Irving? That'd be a great person to take out to the trash. My guy, you've made so many comments about Boston. I promise we don't care that you're not there anymore. It's great. You got your own team. That's what you wanted. You wanted to play with stars. Boston wasn't stars. Boston was a bunch of young guys just trying to get something done. I understand that you didn't feel respected. I understand that you didn't get the love that you wanted out of Boston after leaving and having LeBron James carry you for the years that he did, and making one shot made you think, oh my God, I'm the guy. That's fine. I don't care. It sounds like I do, because I'm like, okay, you're a baby. He's just a big baby. And I need him to admit that at this point. Stop making comments about Boston. Stop saying they're like scorned girlfriends every time I show up. Yeah, we don't exactly like you. You said, I want to be here long term. Maybe 2 weeks after that, you're like, I want out. I hate Boston. Boston's awful. You spat on our logo. You stomped on our logo. You've been nasty to us. You flipped us off during a game. I love that we're beating you right now because you've been nothing but nasty to Boston. So I just think your comments with Boston need to stop at some point, because you need to grow up. You're playing with the Brooklyn Nets. Play for the Brooklyn Nets. Actually show up, Kyrie. That'd probably be really helpful for the rest of your team. But I don't want to hear from Kyrie anymore. I don't know if you feel the same way about him just being a baby. Like, if he spent more time on the court focusing on his game as much as he does about making comments and flipping people off, he might actually be the number one point guard in the league. But he just doesn't have that drive like Steph. Look how old Steph is. Steph is still killing it because Steph doesn't take time to do petty crap. He puts his play on the court. That's why I respect the heck out of Steph Curry. I love that man. That man is ridiculous. But Kyrie is just a big baby, and I can't do it. I can't swallow any more of his crap.
Well, I mean, it's been 3 years. Just move on.
Yeah. Like, just stop, bro.
If anyone deserves the right to be upset with the Celtics for ruining their career, it would be Isaiah Thomas.
I give you that. I'll give you that. Yep.
And Isaiah Thomas just wants to play. He just wants to play somewhere. He doesn't care where it is. He just wants to play. Kyrie, we can't necessarily say the same for.
Right.
IIT had his best statistical seasons with Boston. He was phenomenal. He was the number one guy. He was the guy. You didn't want to face them. It was a tough team to beat. And they let him go for basically nothing, and his career was never the same. So if anyone should be mad, it's Isaiah Thomas.
I agree. Sorry. Let's go to Flashbang. Have you been around for us to do Flashbang? Sweet. So I'm going to give you two different things. Explain which one you would pick in kind of like a one sentence answer. So the first one, would you take the Suns or the Bulls right now?
The Bulls, because Devin Booker's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls, are they winning their series right now?
I think they're tied. Are they playing right now?
Because you've got the other team we were just talking. Celtics are talking right now, or playing right now. And the Raptors and Sixers are playing right now also.
Because I know the Suns are tied. Milwaukee's leading 3-1. I'm sorry, I thought they were both tied.
No, not Milwaukee. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Milwaukee's leading 3-1.
Oh, there it is, Milwaukee. So they're going to lose.
But just in terms of like a group of young guys that are trying to build something for two franchises that have been crappy for a long time.
I mean, if we're not looking at right now, because they're both going to lose in their series, because
Devin Booker out, in general, like who would you take?
With Devin Booker out, the Suns are probably losing this series, which is unfortunate because I think the Suns are a really great group of young players. I really like Devin Booker. I really like DeAndre Ayton. I love Chris Paul, of course. I'm going with the Suns. They were the number one seed last year. I think they have the better base for longevity. I think Chris Paul's still got a couple years left in him, surprisingly, somehow. Devin Booker's got a long time there. Ayton, if he stays, he's got a long time there. But DeRozan's been consistent. He's been around a little bit, but then you got Lonzo out there and, Alex Caruso. And it's just, they're young, they're good, but I think the Suns have a higher upside, especially considering they were just in the finals last year.
Yeah. Okay. That's why I figured, like, which group of young guys do you like better?
Yeah. Don't ask me the next one. I don't have an answer.
Okay, that's fine. Patrick.
Here, Brad. Here's the next one. The next one for you, flashbang, Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson. Who you taking and why?
Trayvon Walker, 5-star guy, less work, less usage than Hutchinson, better combine, great size, hard to pass up on a generational talent like that.
There we go. Back to something I know.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes receivers right now or Aaron Rodgers receivers right now?
Does it have to just be wide receivers?
No, go for it.
Can we just say receiving core?
Yeah, which you're going to say the Chiefs.
Then it's easily the Chiefs because Travis Kelce is there. But also it's still the Chiefs because Juju Smith-Schuster is still a better wide receiver than anyone on the Packers roster.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, you might give Randall Cobb that distinction, but he's not that great. He's a number 2 probably. At least Juju was a number 1 somewhere before.
Sammy Watkins, and then there's Randall Cobb.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Josh Snyder from Bloomsburg is going to be their next number 1 receiver. I don't even know who Josh Snyder is, but then again, I don't know who anyone on the Packers wide receiving core is either. So
yeah, justice for Johnny. Yep, I'm with you. I don't trust Amber Heard at all.
That was a random comment, but
yeah, it was. I mean,
maybe he's talking about Johnny Manziel playing in the fan-controlled football league with Terrell Owens.
Yeah, I'm confused. Why are you?
Hey,
hang on.
Pushing. Yep.
You don't need to get in there. You don't need to go in there. Hi, baby. Okay. So that will conclude Flashbang. Let's go to. I don't know if you have one. If not, I've got one. Very, very early top 10 for NCAA.
LSU. There's your top 3.
False, and probably not for a while. I'll give you my top 10, and you're more than welcome to question or say why in the world are they there. Number 1, it's kind of biased, but not really because they're returning a whole bunch of people, got a whole bunch of guys in the transfer portal. It's going to be Alabama, but it's close. And I hate saying this, with number 2 being Ohio State, because Ohio State brings back C.J. Stroud. Ohio State brings back a bunch of those really good receivers. Both offenses for Alabama and Ohio State will look good. Number 3, you won't like this, is Texas A&M. They had the best recruiting class this past year. They had what? Are you going to make it?
I'm looking at my phone, which nobody can. It's down below my camera, so you can't see it. But you're talking about the same Texas A&M who went 8-4 last year and wasn't ranked in the top 25, right?
Sure am.
Okay, that was just making sure.
They'll be better than. Hi, baby. What are you doing? Then people think they will be. Do you want to meet my scaredy cat? This is the one that'll never show up for anything.
Well, they're there now.
What are you doing, little orange kitty? You want to go? You go ahead. There you go, baby. Number 4 is Georgia. I feel like a lot of people are going to give me some crap for that. But let's be honest, should they have ever won with the quarterback that they have? You've now lost JT Daniels. You don't have a cover if the Stetson Bennett experiment doesn't work out again. Because let's be honest, he was horrid. Even last year, he was not fantastic. It was that running game and his receivers that bailed him out. Like, he was not the whole reason that they were fantastic. Yes, thank you. That is one of my 2 cats. I think they lost way too much on their defense, too. Would you agree with that? When we're talking like almost their entire defensive line, linebacker core, and safety, all in like the first and second round, I don't know that they're going to replace those guys. Jordan Davis is a unicorn. Devontae Wyatt is a massive guy. Nakobe Dean was ridiculous and a big leader for that defense. I just don't know that they're going to re-up for this next season. I don't know. I don't believe it until I'll see it. So for now, I'm going to give A&M the flick over Georgia. 5, I have Notre Dame. Listen, I think they're overrated every year. I think they're just the team that shows up to get blown out in the playoffs every year. But I'm going to be honest. At least they do consistently go 1 loss, maybe 2 losses. They'll probably be up there. They actually had the number 6 recruiting class this past year, which is, I mean, that's pretty good, especially for Notre Dame. They got rid of Brian Kelly, which he left in a really terrible way, and I feel like a lot of people were salty about that. Number 6 is Michigan. I don't like admitting that one either, but they are good. They brought in the number 9 recruiting class. They're returning a lot of guys from last year. They won the Big Ten, beat Ohio State, and you're in the conversation, I guess. Number 7, here's one that you won't like. Texas. I'm going to give it to Texas. They had the number 5 recruiting ranking. They've taken a good tight end. We'll see if he actually shows up, Jaleel Billingsley. They've taken Quinn Ewers from Ohio State. They've actually recruited really well. They're returning a decent defense. They could be a sneaky powerhouse. Oklahoma lost a lot. Oklahoma lost a lot to the transfer portal. And I don't know if they have the power to stay as the perennial Big 12 winner. So we'll see. Number 8 is USC. It's obvious. Caleb Williams is really good. Lincoln Riley knows what he's doing. I don't think that moving to the Pac-12 was the smartest decision, but here we are. Number 9 is Clemson. I can't get rid of Dabo Swinney yet. If they address their quarterback situation, they can be in play. Their biggest problem, though, is that they do not have a consistent quarterback ever. DJ Ukulele or what? Help me out here. I don't know how to say his last name. So I'm just going to say if they get a better quarterback, they'll be fine. And number 10 for me has to be Oklahoma. Oklahoma still is powerful. It's just going to be a big question of can they still compete in the Big 12 with lots of glaring holes on offense? We'll see. That is my early top 10 ranking. Anything you didn't agree with? Anything you felt was a little reachy? You don't? Yeah, I know. Okay. Had to ask anyways.
A couple things I thought were reachy, but we'll say that for when I actually pay attention to the season when the season starts.
That's okay. Let's go out and round out with Baller Bill, y'all. Our basketball segment.
I want to do the one right before that.
Which one?
Jock, paper, scissors.
That yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to skip that. Jock, paper, scissors. All right. So just out of future face, I wrote KD and then realized I wrote what I wrote about KD. But anyways, I'm going to put him there anyways. KD, Giannis, or Luka? Who would you take?
Well, first of all, regardless of how we feel about KD and his legacy, you have to put him in this conversation because he is the second best player in the world. Second best player in the world. Interesting putting Luka there. I love Luka. Don't know if he belongs in the conversation with KD and Giannis yet. Probably want to put LeBron there, just for future reference. But it wouldn't change my decision. Giannis is the answer. Giannis does everything right. Giannis is disgusting. He's a demon. He's gross. If Giannis develops a jump shot, he becomes everything that KD thinks that he is. And he's already won a championship by himself.
Yeah.
So Giannis is an easy answer for me. Yeah. But I love Luka. It would be Giannis, Luka, and then KD in that order for me. That's just biased because I love Luka a lot. I think he's a really great point guard. He's big. He gives me very much Magic Johnson energy, but Magic Johnson with a jump shot.
Like a good version.
And then KD is great. KD is great. So maybe I would say third. I don't know that I really put Luka above him, but for who I would take, I might put Luka there.
I just was more asking for like future because LeBron is going to hang it up probably in 2 years. Probably.
He's got to wait till his son gets in the league. He's got at least 3 years.
Maybe. I don't know if he'll get tired of losing.
I don't think he will.
Will he get tired of losing? Because he's going to have
never going to miss the playoffs again in his career.
Huh?
He's never going to miss the playoffs again in his career. You heard him. He said it. He said,
as long as he tweeted LA.
He tweeted, I can and will not miss the postseason again in his career. That's what he said.
Which might be one more year. And if it is, then yeah, you're right. But
Hey, listen, if Anthony Davis starts to play,
if Anthony Davis stays healthy, that's the
listen, Anthony
problem.
Davis is going to get traded to Charlotte Hornets, and then LeBron's going to get to play with LaMelo, and then you're really going to see how he does with a great point guard.
That'd be
But
disgusting.
him and Kyrie is going to be like him and LaMelo. It would be gross. It would be disgusting.
The Lakers
He
would
does
have
not
something
have
to
to
be
play
excited
point
about for
guard.
the future because LeBron will eventually retire. But Melo,
It would be great. Put the right ball in Los Angeles. Anyway,
right? Let's see if they end up doing it again. Now let's head over to Baller Bill, y'all. We had this written a long time ago, and I thought it might slip through the cracks, but I don't want it to. So I'm going to talk about it. Is the face of the NBA no longer American? We have Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Luka, Joel Embiid. All these guys are, in the playoffs and really good perennially. So are we missing that like LeBron James kid from Akron kind of future to the NBA?
no, I don't think we're ever really going to miss that because you're still going to get great players. But I think what it is, number one, is a lot of people are getting opportunities that they would not have gotten prior. The EuroLeague with its success, and in just the way that the world has changed around basketball. I mean, look at the United States in the Olympics. The U.S. national team lost more games in this Olympics than they probably had in 5 Olympics. It's been a long time since they've lost that many, and even just the exhibition games. But they were losing because I think that basketball is just becoming that much more popular around the world, and teams and players growing up in these countries are getting better. And I think that the NBA cannot afford to turn a blind eye to these players because they're just successful. So I think that number one, it's just a lot of people who are getting chances coming directly from the countries that they come from, and number two, that the colleges and universities are doing a great job of recruiting these players. I mean, Giannis and was Giannis the only? No, none of the four of these people came from. No, none of the four of them went to college, right? Giannis came straight from Greece. Luka came straight from whatever country he's from. Embiid came
Yeah.
straight from Africa.
Then yeah, I guess none of them went to college.
Jokic didn't
I don't.
go to college either. He came straight from Serbia. So I mean, but you get players. Let's see if I can think of any big names that have come from a college university. Now I can't think of any, but the colleges and universities, maybe they're doing a better job of recruiting and getting these players the opportunity to play on the big stage. You never know.
Yeah.
I like Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, he's Australian. He went to LSU. He got a chance. Kyrie, he's Australian technically,
Yeah.
and he went to college. He had his chance. So
Well, and they both went to good universities too, so I don't know if that helped them at all.
LSU's not exactly the greatest basketball program we've ever seen in the world.
They're
but
still good. They're
they have
always
a
in the
name. I mean,
conversation.
they have Shaq. So if you can, you get one great player in your history, and you at least have something. So
At least you have one great
Shaq
player in your history.
Yeah, we'll take Shaq. And
I've got Colin Sexton. That's where I'm laying all my hopes right now.
Hey, Colin Sexton's a great player.
Or
he's going to be good.
Number 8 forever ago. He played for the Knicks. Latrell Sprewell.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, that's not it, and I know it. At least you've had Shaq.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get.
All right, let's race through these playoffs. I've got them pulled up. Miami and Atlanta. Miami leads 3-1. I think that series is kind of over. What do you think?
Yeah, Miami, it's over.
Philly and Toronto. Philly leads 3-1. I'm pretty sure that's over. I know the Raptors were leading last time I looked, but
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if they win this game; they're going to lose the series.
Well, they don't have Kawhi this time, so I don't think they're going to pull off some crazy last-minute shot. So, Milwaukee and Chicago. Milwaukee leads 3-1. I'm pretty sure that's over unless we have some miracle game from the Bulls.
Yep.
Speaking of games that are over, Boston leading Brooklyn 3-0. I think it's probably going to be 4-0. I know they were leading in the halftime when I looked by 8.
It's a 7-point game right now in the third quarter.
Yeah, it's probably over. If Brooklyn does come back, you're right. It'll probably only just be for a game. Phoenix and the Pelicans are tied 2-2. How do you feel about this?
The Pelicans are the only reason that the Pelicans might win this series because they genuinely might is because Devin Booker's out.
Yep.
I mean, they held Chris Paul to like 5 points last night or whatever the last time they played. That will never happen again. Chris Paul's going to probably go crazy this next game. So I don't think that the Suns will lose, but I will understand if they lose because they don't have their best player.
Right. The Mavs and the Jazz are tied 2-2. Welcome to
series.
two underwhelming teams in the West.
That's a very tough series. Luka's hurt. Yeah. Luka has not been playing, so I don't think it would be this close with if he was playing. But Donovan Mitchell has to be playing. He has to play better. I mean, the Jazz have two. You got Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. You got two and Mike Conley, I think, is still there. You got really good players there. I don't know what's going on. They were number 1 or 2 seed, I think, in last year's playoffs. And I don't know.
Do you think that sweetheart pairing is going to break up soon? I don't know that Gobert and Mitchell have ever liked each other.
No, I don't think it really matters whether they like each other or not. I don't think that. I mean, your second best player on your team cannot be your center. That's not the way that the NBA works anymore. I mean, yeah, you've got Jokic and Embiid, but they're more than just centers. Rudy Gobert is a defensive center. He's not an offensive center. Nikola Jokic can do absolutely anything on the court. Joel Embiid can do absolutely anything on a
three-pointer, like
on a turnaround three-pointer at that. So you've got these centers who are not only defensive stalwarts, but you have them on offense also. You must have both in the current NBA, and you don't right now. You simply don't. And so your center can't be your top 2 position if they are not an offensive guru also. And Donovan Mitchell, quite frankly, is not one of the best players that is. He's a better than average player, but he's not a great player. He's not going to be the reason you win a bunch of games. He might keep you in games, but he's not going to be the reason you win games. He's not going to be the reason you win a series.
They're not going to go to the finals on him alone.
No, that's exactly. It's not going to happen. So they're just going to be a great team a very good team who will never win anything. So
eventually they'll have to blow that up and do something.
Yeah, I mean, sooner rather than later, I'm sure of it.
Speaking of teams that have just got some longevity and have just been good for a long time, Golden State, first of all, and then Denver is meh. But Golden State leads 3-1. I'm pretty sure that's over. How in the world?
I think the Warriors are going back to the play. I mean, I think they're going to the finals. If they're playing, if Steph's going to shoot the way he is, if Jordan Poole's going to play the way he is, if Klay's going to shoot, who's going to stop them?
Gary Payton Jr. Yeah, like everybody.
Who's going to stop them? You've got 2 of the best shooters to ever do it. It's not.
Well, yeah, I think
Wiseman been playing. Did Wiseman get hurt again?
I don't. If he did, that might hurt them.
I haven't heard his name this year.
I didn't think he got hurt. I just don't think he's got the same amount of minutes. I don't think.
Oh, and Andrew Wiggins is there too.
Yeah, and Wiggins is having like a revival.
Wiseman is out. He's been out for a while.
Of course. Oof. Steph is almost averaging what Jokic is averaging.
I mean, he's gross.
That's disgusting.
But anyway, Warriors are probably they're probably taking the West. I don't know. I don't see anyone really stopping them.
Well, if Memphis could get their act together, maybe, because they're tied 2-2 with Minnesota. Minnesota. That's bad. That's so bad.
It's not good at all.
No.
But John Morant's my favorite player outside of LeBron James. So
I like John Morant.
I'll rock with the Grizzlies all day, every day.
I would love to see John Morant in green, but it's never going to happen. So
I'll just see him in purple and gold. Well, I'd like to see LeBron go wherever Ja is. So,
could you imagine LeBron in Memphis?
In Memphis, he'd look great in the jersey.
I think he'll. You and I both already know this. He'll go wherever his son gets drafted.
Yeah, I mean, he's already said that.
He'll sign 1-year deals until he can get to go where his son goes. Now, the real question is, and I have to ask you, do you honestly think he'll go back to the Lakers? This will be our last question.
Memphis has never won a championship. LeBron going to Memphis might be their only chance.
Maybe.
Anyway, I digress. Your question was?
Do you think LeBron will go back to the Lakers?
I don't know.
I don't either. I
If
wouldn't.
he doesn't go to the Lakers, I don't know what team he would go to because I don't know where would fit him. Where he's not gonna have to. You know
Go
where I'd
play
like
for
to.
the-
You know where I'd like to see him.
Huh?
Stay in the Western Conference. I think he is at his. I think he is at his best with a dynamic point guard or a dynamic shooting guard, so he doesn't have to be the primary distribution handler of the ball, especially at his age of 76. I think Portland would be a great place for him to go, and that he and Dame would, because it's a shame the Trailblazers are wasting Damian Lillard, but they've got to have money because I don't know who else they're giving it to. They've got to have the money to bring in LeBron.
Yeah.
So
And somebody else. Like they just haven't had the attractive nature. But if you bring in LeBron, somebody somewhere will want to play with
someone's got
LeBron.
to come, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he might go back to the East. There's a little parity in the Eastern Conference, so maybe go back to the East and have a chance.
If
I
he
don't know.
signs with Boston, I quit.
Yeah, still be a Celtics fan.
I don't know.
If he goes to Boston, I'm buying you a LeBron James Boston jersey.
I'll
You
be
can
sick.
Wear it every day.
I'll be sick. How many years did he shut us down with the Cavs?
Too many.
Like, I don't want to see it. But
well, with the Cavs, actually, you guys were the Boston was the reason that he was losing because he was running into the big three.
Yep.
But it's once he turned into the dominant monster. I mean, the year he left Cleveland, he lost to the Celtics. I remember him walking off the court after the Celtics game, taking off his jersey, and that was it. He was gone. But I mean, they put that big three together because they were terrified of what was going to happen with LeBron when he really became who he was, and that was that season.
But that big three was still.
I mean,
I argue that it's big four because of how good Rondo has been for how long.
Oh, Rondo's in that three, isn't he?
No, because it's Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett.
Oh yeah, and then you had Big Baby Davis in there. You just had a really solid.
Yeah, team. Big Baby.
You just had a really, really solid team.
Yeah, one that we may never see again. But
right.
Yeah. But thanks everybody for hanging with us. It's been another episode of Jock Talk. Thanks for dropping by, Aubin. If you want to hear more from, which way is it? There we go. If you want to hear more from Aubin, go to the Afro Latinos podcast. You can find them on Facebook,
Instagram,
YouTube, Instagram.
Anywhere the digital podcast can be found. The Afro Latinos podcast everywhere.
Sweet. All right, guys. We'll see you.
Peace out.